Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the Prepare to Repair show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, and I hope everybody had a very good Easter this past weekend, even though it was kind of a yucky day on yesterday. I want to welcome our guests to the show. I've got today joining me in studio is Gerard Pagliuco from Added Sales. They're a rep for popular brands such as Delta, Brizo, State water heaters, Takagi tankless water heaters, as well as several other popular brands. Also, Mack is back.
We are back, baby.
Mack Tracey with Ferguson Kitchen, Bath, and Lighting is joining us to let us know about the products that we are going to be discussing. Where could we get them and availability, and just to throw some insight in on some of these products, because some of these brands I've worked on in the field and I've come across, and some of these I didn't know about. So I'm going to learn about today too, which I think is really good. And that's part of doing the show is I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I want to learn as much as I can. So the more I learn and interact with reps such as Gerard and suppliers such as you, I can bring more of a selection and more information to my customers to give them the best products out there.
And I think that's the cool thing that's kind of somewhat developed in our relationship is being able to introduce you to my network of reps and resources,
right,
and connect you to them, because there may be things that you're unaware of, or you're having difficulties out in the field, and being able to utilize my resources in your role. That's what we're here for, essentially.
Well, just before we came on the air, we were talking about just the three-headed dragon approach, whereas you have me in the field on what I'm seeing as far as the products that would work for me, that would be better. And, you know, because there's some products that look good on paper and that are designed, and it's like once you get them in the field and it's like, no, not so good. And so then I could relay that information to Gerard. And
say hello, Gerard.
Yeah, say hello.
Hello, how you doing, folks?
Ooh, that's a nice radio voice.
There you go. So I can interact. I can relay it to Gerard and relay it to you, Mac. So then what happens is if the feedback that companies get, manufacturers get from the people in the field as well as homeowners, and obviously you as a supplier, that does that those steps are just extraordinarily helpful to better the products.
Right. And it's three levels of defense.
Right.
You're out in the field, and that homeowner client of yours is having questions, and you're very good at what you do. You might be able to answer that question right then and there. And if you don't, you have somebody like myself that you can buzz, and I can help troubleshoot something with you, or walk you through something. And if all else fails, we have our friend Gerard here, that, and countless times over the years that I've known Gerard for years and years, and the times that he's been able to, whether it be a large high-rise project or just run out to somebody's home on a weekend or something, Gerard's been there to resolve a lot of issues over the years.
I've always explained it because I used to be in the supply business, Mac has 85 binders behind him, and he kind of knows sort of what's in all 85. I have 11 or 12 to deal with, so I get a little more educated on those lines. And you, of course, are the pro putting it in, and you expect us to have all that technical knowledge that help you get through that initial.
Well, what I say to homeowners, because, we were discussing it, I think it was not last week's show, it was a week before, when I was talking about just faucets. And a lot of homeowners think, well, you're a plumber, you should know every faucet that is out there. And it's just impossible with so many brands, so many different variations and styles. It's just, and how much they've changed over the years, and even by one manufacturer, let alone countless other ones that have been out there or come and gone, and some that are made overseas. I mean, just there's so many of them out there, and some look identical because a lot of a lot of them, it's a copycat type of markets with a lot of things where they look very similar, in design and function, but they're going to have their own little tweak to it. They're going to have their own little flair to it, where some of them they may look very similar until you get them apart. But it's, again, people are very, when it comes to certain kind of products that they install, they're very specific. Now, we were talking about, before we got on the air, about just using Delta. And, it's one of the top 2 popular brands in, I would say, the country, probably. I mean, it's
absolutely,
they're one of the top 2. And when you have that competition between 2, it's going to get heated, and it's going to make people better. And the ultimate beneficiary of that is going to be the customers.
Absolutely,
sure,
because they're going to get some top-notch products.
Yeah.
So, but I getting back to saying having access. The relationship building with you and Ferguson gave access to a lot of reps from these particular manufacturers to give listeners insight on some of these products that they wouldn't normally know about, and gives them the ability to research at home. So when they come and see you, they can have that information, armed with that information, to make a decision. And plus, what I like is some of the stuff that we talk about that I'm learning about. I've been lucky enough to get a couple of get some products that I in turn have been giving them away on to listeners. Like last week or a week before, we had a guest on who they were discussing leak sensors. So what we were able to do is they sent us a couple of those leak sensors, and we were able to give them away to 2 lucky listeners. They responded on social media. So I think they listened to the show and they responded on social media. We were asking for the worst water horror stories.
And I was listening to that episode. That was the week that I wasn't here.
Right.
I was listening on the radio, and it was funny how you guys were trying to decipher the best or worst. What are you qualifying as the best or worst? The worst story? Does that make it the best, or it was just funny hearing you guys trying to navigate through that.
Yeah, you're trying to say it, not because it is bad. I mean, just the 2 that won were. I mean, I felt for them, and but all of them were just pretty terrible to begin with, and so we were able to pick 2, and the 2 winners were. I want to give a congratulations to Nicole Bartles of Homer Glen and Dave Strutzel of Bloomingdale.
All right.
Yeah, they gave us the best horror stories. And I want to give a thank you to Lixil for supplying the leak sensors. And also, too, because of this, and this is great that this is happening and bringing all this information together, we will now be offering these leak sensors to our customers as part of our water heater and pump installs as added protection for peace of mind starting in May. I put in an order for them. So
we got them waiting for you.
So that means that the new products that we discuss and we become informed on, we're getting it out into the hands of people. We're getting it out into the hands of customers that they may not have known about or I didn't know about, and this is a product they need to know about. So, and one of those products was, and I'm kind of going to jump on here, and I probably, should have went in order on my little thing here. But first of all, let me stop.
Never do.
Let me stop.
Throw this away.
Let me slam on the brakes. Gerard, tell us about you and added sales so people know where they're getting their information from. Because they already know about Mack. They know where he's from.
Well, once again, I'm Gerard Pagliuco. I work with Added Sales Company. I've been in not only the plumbing industry, the business of the plumbing industry, but the Chicago plumbing industry. I've never been in any of the other states for the last 50 years.
Awesome.
Starting in a warehouse to a will call counter to the brass room around, up until where I'm at today. Added Sales is a rep agency that handles, plumbing manufacturers exclusively. So, anything that water runs through or splashes into, potentially, we could be representing them in the Chicagoland area.
Okay. So some of the brands that you rep and that Mack over there at Ferguson carries would be Delta, Brizo, and actually, when we did our walkthrough, and like I said, I have a lot of footage that's being cutted up, so that's going to start.
I got a lot of people waiting for that footage. Yes. People are asking me.
Oh, my cousin got it to me, and I got it being worked on right now. So it's being cut up into little bits because we want to get everyone's attention on certain aspects of what we were looking at. But the Delta, and I've installed a lot of Delta products over the years, and we were talking off the air. And what I do is as a contractor, I say what my negatives and positives. And there was a time that I was like, I would have a Delta and I'd just be like, oh boy. But then, and there was a lot of plumbers that had an attitude too. But then about 10 years ago, maybe around 10 years, right around that window, it's like Delta said, boom, kick the door down. I'm here for the party. I'm ready. It's my time to shine. And I don't know what they did, and you're going to probably give us a little bit more information on that, Gerard, but they just really just took the market by storm. And now when people recommend, I'm like, that's one of the top 2 that I recommend doing it. I've a couple giveaways that we've given away have involved the touch faucet from Delta, and customers have been very happy with it. Even if there was like little issues with it, we were able to fix and troubleshoot and get them done relatively easy. So it was definitely a decent product. So tell us a little bit more about Delta, and you can call me and tell me I'm wrong.
No,
or
yell at me. I experienced the exact same transition. So as a rep agency, every once in a while you'll switch manufacturers, and we were leaving one faucet company, and I'm finding out that we're taking on the Delta line. So I'm in the industry, like I said, for quite some time, since the 70s, and I kind of took my eye off the competition when they were my competition. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, okay, seats and springs, crystal handles, they get all cloudy and crack in your hands. A very good line over the years, but kind of known for it to be like a hardware line. Well, I got sent to a 2-day training, and I experienced that same transition in 48 hours. And my comment was that somebody should write a book on how they changed Delta Faucet Company. I mean, they became that average okay faucet to the trendsetter who creates new categories in the plumbing industry. You mentioned the touch faucet. Mm-hmm. That category doesn't exist without Delta Faucet Company creating it first. Magnet docking, just all types of new technologies that they became the trendsetters. And built-in design teams, they don't wait for the design industry to create something and they copy it. They have a team of designers and engineers, on the docket. Electrical engineers at a faucet company, they have several of those to create the categories and create the trends and know what the design community is looking for. And it was just an amazing transition. I'll agree with you. I experienced it myself, and it was quite fun. We got on board at Edit Sales just in time to ride the wave and get the word out.
Excellent. And you carry a full line of Delta?
Absolutely. That's we touched on it before we went on air today. And we after the break we can touch on Brizo as well, the luxury line of Delta, and between Brizo and Delta, those are 2 top leading brands that we sell across our showroom floor every single day. Okay, yeah, I've got a question about a faucet that I ran into, and I wanted to see what you thought of it. You're listening to the Prepare to Repair show. I'm joined here with Gerard with Added Sales and Mack with Ferguson Home Supply. And we are going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk. To Repair show right here on WJOL 1340. I'm back here with Gerard Pagliuco.
That's it.
With Added Sales. I just don't, I don't want to make a mistake on a name. I did that with a person down at the city of Chicago. I made a mistake with the name, and I got yelled at.
Oops.
You don't want to do that. I apologize profusely. Now she is my best friend.
There you go.
And also joining me is Mack Tracey with Ferguson
Some people,
Supply.
we got on the show months ago for the first time and trying to educate this market on who we are. And we discussed on that first episode when you had me on how big and broad and powerful Ferguson is.
Right.
And I've had people in our market, because we are new to this market. That's the one thing that we touched on. People asking if I was Mack Ferguson, part of the Ferguson family, and not knowing the size that we are as a company. So it was a friendly reminder of how much more we need to get on here and talk about who we are and what we do.
Well, that's the idea. Like I said, I want to get this information out so people have an idea of what they're getting. And a lot of times they're afraid to go and ask any questions, because then it's like they feel pressured, like I have to buy something. And that's not something people want. And they want to get the right information where they're not being, steered one way or another. Because by you being a supply house, you have a full line of different products that they can choose from.
Yep.
And what I'm here to do is taking all these different reps that are coming on so they can say, this is what we do. Okay, we don't care about what they're doing because we got to focus on what we do. Mm-hmm. And then other ones, this is why we're better. This is why we're better. And when everyone gets this information, they can pick the one that's best for them. Or who knows, they could pick a Delta faucet for their kitchen, but maybe another line works. A Brizo works better for one bathroom because they're doing another line there. Or maybe they can go with a different brand here. We don't want that.
Biases to anybody.
Right.
Hey, at the end of the day, the customer's always right. They're gonna get what they want. One thing I will say, from my standpoint, my team can probably say this the same. What I like selling is what I'm educated on and what I feel supported on. And a good rep covers both of those. They're in front of us on a weekly, monthly basis with new product, new technology information, and then just the support from a relationship standpoint. God forbid if anything happens after that transaction, I know guys like Gerard are one call away that can help me. So those are the brands that I love selling. At the end of the day, I don't really care. It's what the customer wants. But I'm going to push somebody towards a brand that I feel well represented on, and I have tremendous resources on it as well. So Delta Brizo being one of those, absolutely.
Well, on my end, it's like if I recommend a faucet brand, it has to perform. Mm-hmm. Because if I get this, I recommend it, and the thing winds up just being a total pain, it doesn't work, then I get, customers looking at me. Mm-hmm. So the main reason is you want something that's going to have durability, because if I have to keep going back, then it's going to be a problem, or they're unhappy with it. I don't want it. Like, you don't want a customer, unhappy customer either. But the great thing about having, reps such as Gerard is the fact that, we were just talking off the air, is these products that come to the market, these new lines that are coming out by all manufacturers, doesn't necessarily mean one particular one. They're all going to go through growing pains. They're all going to go through design. They're going to find out as things go. They're going to make changes. They're constantly making changes and modifications in the field as the product starts to wear. And that doesn't make, this, because I hear that when people would say, I had this and you have a ton of problems. No, you had it out there when they first hit the market. They had to make some adjustments, but they sent out parts. They got you back in business, modified, and you're good to go. That's a sign of a good company.
It is. With the touch faucet we were talking about, it's a technology that people didn't want to give up on, so they wanted the product. It was introduced by Delta. It had some bugs at the outset, mainly the solenoid, and it went through a few phases. But people and plumbers kind of waded through it because the end result was this intuitive, amazing product that, in this day and age of COVID, coincidentally, even though it was created years ago, is really what customers want. A way of just not spreading germs and disease and what have you, and this is a big assist. And Now there's no bugs in it. So it's, I mean, I used to go out, 1 or 2 sales calls, troubleshooting calls a week perhaps I can't remember the last time I was on one. So
to give you an idea, ladies and gentlemen, what this faucet does, imagine you're in your kitchen, you're cooking and you're baking. You've got your hands just full with, if you were handling, meat, chicken, or baking, and you've got stuff all over your hands. Well, you want to rinse them off. You want to, if you touch the handle to turn it on, with your hands, then you've contaminated your handles. You can contaminate everything. What this particular faucet does is you can touch it with your anything on your skin. You can touch it. Your
nose.
You can touch it with your nose.
Your forearm, the back of your hand.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you can rinse off your hands. You can do whatever you need to do. And it just makes it so much, especially if you are a person who loves to cook, loves to bake, these faucets are a great line to, they're a must have. Yeah. And the price point on them, affordable.
They're not.
And I think Delta Brizo's technology, because I showed you and you were, and maybe we'll have footage chopped up here soon.
We will have footage. Jurassic Park took years to put on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is not quite
we have
that, but
live kitchen faucet display with all the centered faucets over there. And I have several different brands represented. The Brizo Solna that we have with the articulating arm is the first one we have there. We have some different brands that have some different technologies. Some are wave censored technologies, kind of like a flush valve. When you stand in front of it, it'll. I say this confidently. I think the Delta Brizo technology is my favorite because some of those I'll walk by grabbing a cup of coffee and they just turn on and you're like, is there a ghost in the house? What's going on? And
well, that's where I complimented the lawyers at Delta with the patents that they have, because that is capacitance technology, and others are the infrared, where you get a lot of misreads. Capacitance, it understands, it identifies the microfarads in your skin. Don't ask me what those are, but that's what
sounds
it.
Fancy.
And it allows you to get very precise and very accurate response whenever you touch or grab a touch faucet. It knows the difference. That if you touch it, it knows you want it to turn it on or off. If you grab it, you know it. You don't want the flow to stop. You're simply moving the spout from one bowl to the next.
That's crazy. That's super cool to see in person.
Well, again, these are, before these faucets come out, people who were like to cook and were really bakers, things like that, that really like to do that stuff in their home, you had to get almost like a commercial faucet with little foot pedals to get that to happen. I mean, they really didn't have anything like that that was really for the residential game. Now, I mean, you got this, but here's another line of faucets, and you're going to talk about this, Gerard. You're going to talk. I saw one of these faucets where just put one in where it was a smart faucet, and people are like, well, why would you want a smart faucet? Let me tell you something. Nothing's cooler than saying, Alexa, turn hot water on, fill quarter cup. And it does it. No matter what position the handle is in, it could be on the cold or whatever, it's going to fill it up, that amount, and it will give you that temperature. Warm, hot, cold. How cool is that?
So we have what's called Voice IQ. And the nice thing about it, it is packaged in a handful of our kitchen faucets, but you could also buy it as a module for around $160, $170 list. So if you already have an existing touch faucet, it takes 5 minutes mechanically to install it, maybe 15 minutes to get online and set it up. But same thing, fill quarter cup, warm up water. The nice thing about that filling a cup is you no longer have to search for a measuring cup. You can grab any container, ask it to fill a cup, and you get a cup full of water to the drop.
And it's dead on accurate.
Put it in your shoe. Half a cup.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
You could also program it to, if you have an amount of coffee you do every day, you do 10 cups of coffee every day, you can preset it so you can say, fill up my coffee pot, and it'll fill up 10 cups every morning for you. If you have something that you work out with, and you want that filled up, you can tell it, to fill up your...
The technology, and as plumbers, people are thinking, we were thinking, our industry is pretty much going to be untouched because, there's really, how much electronics can you get with plumbing? Somebody said, sit back, son. We're going to show you how it's done. And now you have this, which is really, I love this. This is phenomenal. And not only that, but you have a brand of products that I was looking at that I was unfamiliar with, that it's very contemporary, but they have toilets that are basically a motion or a touch-free with flush, and their wall mount. It's a whole different design, and it's probably not for every application, but if you're looking to do a remodel, on that line of technology, it's out there for you to really make your house a smart home and really take advantage of the full technology that's out there.
That would be the Gerard in-wall carrier, that the cistern, the tank is in the wall. The bowl floats off the ground. You talk about cleaning and not having to worry about getting around bolt caps anymore in your life. The bowl floats off the floor, will hold 800 pounds of weight, and has both mechanical and hands-free actuators that you can use it.
Yeah, we have that on display in our showroom, back corner on the wall. We have a Derivit fixture sitting on there with the Gerard in-wall carrier system. And Gerard, touch on, because you when we first put that display on the floor, you came in. That setup, that Gerard in-wall carrier system, is awesome for a basement install, correct? And touch on why.
So in this area, there's tons of basements, and when you think about it, when you do a basement remodel, if you're using a regular toilet, you've got a concrete slab, you've got to break up, you got to run piping to the pit. With the Gerard carrier, you can run that pipe, you could put up in a full wall and run your pipe on the outside above the floor to 6, 8, 10, 15 feet, wherever you got to go for that toilet to
so it does save some excavation.
You don't have to crack into the floor.
Right. So there's tons of remodel savings especially with a bathroom application. I always tell Mack, a basement application, that should be the first system you should show an end user if they're planning on putting a basement bathroom in.
I'd have to look at that, because that's not a bad idea, and also we'd have to check.
We've done a bunch of those. I hear basement bathroom. That's right. Immediately where I walk them over to, because you're saving just a remodel cost. How much are you saving on that? It's tremendous.
Yeah, because if the price point, depending on where that is, the cost saving is to that. They'd be able to get the look they want.
Yep.
And save themselves some money in the process. So that's not a bad idea. When I saw that,
we've done a bunch of those for a basement install, for sure.
And that's again the technology that is there that is going to allow you to do this. And it's a way to install this. They'll be installed per code, and they'll operate how you want them to operate. So it's definitely a product that you can put in there. And another thing that I wanted to kind of touch on too is, as we talk about these products that are here, and a lot of people, when we were talking off the air, is one issue that I run into is people who are putting down shower pans, and they're replacing their shower or upgrading their shower, and they ask, well, what kind of shower pan should I get? I'm going to a box store, I'm going to get this. And one thing that I have found in the field is, and a lot of people can relate to this, is their shower starts leaking over time, and they don't understand why. And it turns out that the shower pans over time, because of the structure or lack of in certain designs, when you're standing in it, they flex. And when they flex around the drain, they get movement. Water starts to leak when they're standing in the shower. And then they can't figure out why. It's like, okay, why is it leaking? I run water in the shower. There's nothing leaking. Everything is fine. But when someone takes a shower, it's leaking all over the place. So they're wondering, they're trying to trace this. They're chasing walls. They're chasing them. Come to find out, it's actually the unit, or the shower pan. When they're stepping in it, it pulls away from the drain enough for water to just drip down.
Sure, and it didn't leak for the first 3 years, and now it's leaking. Even more confusing.
Right,
because it's like a time bomb.
Exactly. It's just the structure on it, and having that structure that is, and you could actually tell, and I've had people ask on social media, and I don't know if you get this question with people calling in to you or coming in to see you, Mac, but I get people, well, what kind of shower base should I get? I saw one, like I said, they'll say, I saw one at the box store. I said, look at the bottom of these shower bases. What am I looking for? You want to see structure on them. Not just, because some of them will just have a couple of, maybe a couple of supports underneath at, spaced maybe a few inches apart, 4 inches apart, whatever the case may be, and leaving that whole area around the drain unsupported. And those are the lower cost units. And what happens is those are the first ones to wear.
Yep.
And I say, well, what do I look for? Look for one that looks like it is almost like a grid, a whole grid of support. And I think there was a model on here that you were...
Our Swanstone bases have that, yeah.
And they have a design. It's it's not like a checkerboard type setup. It's a honeycomb.
Like a honeycomb, or you want, to your point, the way I explained it, it could be channels, or it's additional lines of plastic or polymer that kind of match even with the bottom of the apron in the front, because that's what you're leveling out. And behind that apron, now you have that support base,
right,
equally down to the the plywood or the subfloor, as opposed to floating a quarter inch or a half an inch off the floor. To your point, just waiting for something to happen down the road.
Exactly. You're listening to the Prepare to Repair show with Mack Tracey joining me, along with Gerard Pagliuco with Added Sales. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about these problem shower pans that are and how to resolve that.
.com.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.
Welcome back to the Prepare to Repair show. I am your host, Steve Suarez, Plumber Steve with RJ Graham Plumbing. Joining me is Mack Tracey with Ferguson Supply and Gerard Pagliuco with Added Sales. And before the break, we were discussing, shower pans. And the reason why we're talking about all these specific products is a lot of these products, especially faucets, going on about faucets, these are new technology, new products, brands in which that are people are going to be looking at. They're going to have questions on. Technology is changing. We need to, it's not your same old faucet anymore. There's so much, they're changing and getting better, smarter, and they're just really cool. I'm just going to talk about them. They're really cool. And as far as the shower pans, I bring them up because those are a point, as a lot of these houses get older, they're starting to leak, and people are just they're having leaks in their ceilings, trying to figure this out. And as they start to wear and they're upgrading and doing remodels on it and replacing, you don't want to go back with the same type of product. You want to go with a product that is going to be durable, that is going to eliminate it. So you want to, solve the problem once and for all, and with a decent product. Now, you recommended the one that was the Swanstone, but is there other, you rep several other brands out there, and not to take anything from Swanstone, because they have some really nice products, but is there other products out there that you have seen that you have found that have same type of or similar quality, because that can help out homeowners to look at?
Yeah, like we said, the Swanstone one kind of has that built-in. I don't want to call it completely dummy-proof, but it's a lot less of a chance of having that issue. To your point, when it does move and maybe crack, think about the initial application. 3 years ago, you just did this great remodel. It's not like a faucet where you show up and yank it out and leave in the same day. It's buried under the drywall, under the tile, under the faucet. You got to take everything apart to fix that thing. And we do have other manufacturers, Mack and Acre. They make shower bases, and to your point, you just have to look. And what we were discussing to WTFM, read the factory manual, because each one may have a very unique installation process. as a plumber or as a remodeler, you may have installed 10 or 50 or 100 of these things, and you just walk right in knowing that you know what you're doing, and then there's a slight twist. It takes an extra 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, and maybe you do have to use mortar. We have a couple in the Max line that definitely require it. Level the floor, use the mortar, and that's the application. That's simply the way you have to do it. Where Swanstone, you may get away with not having to use that step, the mortar step.
Well, I've had people who, our guys were putting in a specific fixture, and they're like, he's reading the directions. Do you not know what you're doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, hold on a second. These things change. Again, we were talking, you have a model. This line could have had an upgrade of this particular fixture from the previous one that was made a year ago. And we have to install everything per manufacturer specs. You should always install everything per manufacturer specs, because this way, if there's an issue with it and you call up and say, hey, there was an issue, and they're going to ask you, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Because that helps in the troubleshooting. And then once they've confirmed that you've done all that, Mac is looking at me going, well, he wants to add.
I have a funny story, and I think I touched on a previous show with you, Steve. And I won't name names. We have another plumbing manufacturer that we deal with, and they had a major adjustment to their main valving system, shower valves.
Right.
There's a stacked pressure balance with a built-in diverter valve that they offer, and for years, I would say decades, and it might be one way or the other, but for decades, the diverter valve was on top of that stacked valve. Now, this major refresh that they did on their showering system, that diverter is on the bottom. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it might be flipped. But regardless, they flipped the diverter to the opposite end of that valve. So I had several occasions where remodelers or plumbers, just creatures of habit, threw that manual away.
Yep.
They saw a valve that looked familiar to them, and they installed it the old way, what they're familiar with. Lo and behold, they go to put that trim on, and it's upside down. And the wall's been tiled. There's no access panel. They are stuck.
Yeah.
Either the homeowner's going to have an upside-down trim in their shower, which would bug me,
Yep.
Or you're going to start cracking through some tile and rip that thing out. So read the factory manual. Can't stress that enough.
Well, let's just look at this. It's okay. And let's just play devil's advocate. We all are the homeowner. We see that. We're gonna start with you first, because I know what my answer is. You hired people to do this, and this is they didn't read the manual. It's flipped around, and they're saying you're stuck with it, or you've got to pay to have it redone in the tile. What is your response to that?
Well, my first response is we're going to resolve this problem for the homeowner.
No, not you. Not you I'm saying as a homeowner.
Right.
I'm saying you're a homeowner.
So you want okay?
Yeah, I'm saying your homeowner aspect. This is the product you got. Because the installer went on automatic and didn't install and didn't acknowledge and read like he should have. This is the end result.
Well, first I would probably do my due diligence after I see that issue that came up or happened, installed. I would, if you shop with us, you get a whole spec booklet after your purchase, picture booklet. In that picture booklet, it is exactly how it's supposed to be installed, the photos. Then we give you a spec sheet. So I would dig into those resources that I left my plumbing appointment with and look through and see how this thing was supposed to be installed. I'd maybe call back my Ferguson showroom consultant that I bought it from and say, hey, before I ring out this guy that installed this, can you just confirm to me that this is how it needs to be installed? And as noted in your spec book and picture book, it's supposed to be installed this way. Once I have all those boxes checked and confirm all that information, I'd have a tough conversation with my contractor and be like, what happened here?
Okay, as Mac perfects his run for office here, with his, because I tell you, I've never seen anybody dance like that.
But I would agree with you if not agree, but you mentioned a plumber reading a manual, I would appreciate that person on my job site in my bathroom reading before he did an install. And if I went in there and the logo was upside down, I would expect them to fix the problem at no additional cost to myself.
I look at it from a homeowner's point of view because I deal with the end user and I'm dealing with the homeowner and the finished product. The bottom line is they rely on me to give them the finished product. And there is no excuses of why. They hired me to get the job done. They hired me to put everything in right. They hired me to do because if they had to do all the legwork or to figure out how to install this and do all this other stuff, they don't need me.
Right.
And my thought is if I'm a homeowner, and that's the way I run. I put myself in the homeowner's shoes. Okay, would I pay me? Would I be okay with me if that's the product that I did?
That's a good question to ask.
And the reality is this. It's, okay, this mistake was made. And I understand. And it's not being unreasonable. But what are we going to do to resolve this? And how it's handled, meaning is the installer going to be there with, hat in hand with contrition? Being, okay, I'm gonna make it right. I'll have the tile guy come out and I'll redo this and I'll get it, done the right way, and you'll be back in business in no time. I apologize for, any delays on it, but we're going to get it right. If you say, well, that's the manufacturer issue, which I've run into guys out there that do that. I run into people out there, oh, that's the manufacturer. They changed it and didn't tell anybody. Okay, well, I'm sorry that they concealed that and hid it in, I don't know, the owner's manual.
Yeah.
Something that came with the faucet. You know what I'm saying? And there's people that do that. And what happens is when they do that, that defers that over to you and makes your job hard as a salesperson who's selling products and the rep. Because one of the biggest problems, and I always talk about this, is the issue people have. A lot of times, complaints people have with products are usually due to installation errors.
And I get a lot of those calls. It was an install problem, but I tell a lot. I'm the one that feels all those calls when something escalates up to me. I have to have those conversations, and I would say 75% of the time, when an angry customer calls in, it was something that happened on the install out in the field. And I say, listen, if you need somebody to yell and scream at, I got thick skin. Lay it on me. Let it out. But I'm here as a support system, and I'll help resolve that issue, even if it isn't my fault. I'll give you the information needed to help solve that problem.
Exactly. In a few minutes on taking the time and diligence up front to install everything per manufacturer specs. Because over with my guys, I have simple rules. One, you have to install everything per code. Everything gets installed per manufacturer specs, and everything meets and exceeds the customer's satisfaction. They have to be satisfied with everything. Those are the three things that have to be done.
I tell my guys, my favorite line is slow down to go faster. And take the time on the front end, an extra minute or so to read the details, the instructions, because that's going to save you a whole lot of time on the back end if that goes wrong.
The devil's in the details. And because then what happens is it makes people start getting upset about stuff, and rightfully so. And that's what I mean. In this particular case, if you don't read the directions, you don't take your time, and something doesn't come out right, homeowners get upset, and rightfully so, and I don't blame them. And that's one of the things that I try to, explain to people, like, at least on our end in the field, but even on this show is, sometimes you got to ask the questions. And if you get a provider, whether it's a contractor or something, that is not wanting to listen to you or not wanting to do certain things like that, and not taking any of your suggestions under advisement on stuff that's going on in your home, then you need a new contractor. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound bad, but it's just the way it is. And you need to find someone that's going to do. This is your home, and your that finished product is there. You shouldn't get yelled at about it,
right? And
neither should the rep. The rep they're doing a great job and working on getting the design of the products that people want. You're putting out the products and making it accessible that people can get the right product for their application. And we as contractors are supposed to get this done correctly and make it so they have everything run like they want it to and get the finished product that they're proud of. So, and that's kind of how it should work, and in a perfect world. Now, is there a stick that goes in the spokes of this job on many occasions? Yes, But you know what? Hopefully we get everything done and taken care of right. Now, I was talking to Gerard before you arrived, Matt. Or Mac. I keep calling you Mac. Okay, well, hello. It's just that type of Monday.
Last episode, Steve.
You got my name right every time.
Contract's up.
He's all right. So
I've got the hard name, and you're perfect on that.
I got you. Now, you brought us a something to give away here.
I did. Delta has all types of new things coming out, to make sure that the end user has a plethora of opportunity and choices.
Okay.
One of the newest things we've come out with is what we call our shore docking system for a handheld. Let's say you have a shower, maybe you're remodeling the master, but you're not doing anything with the secondary shower. It has no handheld in it, and you realize
nice little addition
how nice it is, even for just the cleaning process, let alone, a washing aid. This magnet docking system, simply you unscrew the existing shower head and you screw this on, and it works as the primary fixed shower head, and it also pulls off and stays in position with a strong earth magnet that you just simply grab it, yank it off its harness, use it as a shower, handheld shower, or to clean down the shower stall, and it just grabs it and snaps it right back on again.
Appreciate it.
We're going to give one of those away. It has 7 settings on it.
Excellent.
Awesome.
That's cool. We appreciate it. And I want to thank you. We're running out of time here. Thank you for that. And I want to thank you, Gerard, for being on the show with Added Sales, and also Mac with Ferguson Supply.
I'm sure I'll be back.
Oh, yeah. And I want to thank everybody.
You always lure me back in, Steve.
I want to thank everybody for listening, and I will have more information on the Prepare to Repair Facebook page regarding this shower head that we're giving away. Look for it. We always like to give stuff away. Thank everybody for listening. I appreciate it. And till next week, we will